All right, look at that.
First item is minutes from the meeting. I was on vacation.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any question? Okay.
Make a motion, we move the renovations for the police station to the top of the agenda.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we'll do that. So, 240 Kensington Road up there.
To do the audience first.
Yeah, audience of citizens.
Oh, audience of citizens. We have,
I think everyone's a participant.
yes, everybody's a participant. And if you're not,
Speak
you're not
up.
allowed to use this against us. All right, now expansion and renovation, 240 Kensington Road.
Okay, Brian.
Good evening.
Tag team. Start.
Well, I can share my screen if anybody wants to see any drawings or specs, but in the short, we are ready to go out to bid. And if it wasn't for a phone call I made to Mike, I would have had this thing out to bid. And he said, pump the brakes, and we can't go out to bid yet. The only questions that I have for you, I'm sure you have some for me, but the only questions I have for you was, I'm assuming there's some steep grant money that's going toward this project. So I have incorporated CHRO requirements into the bid documents. So that's human rights and opportunities. If you have steep grants, then you have to include the CHRO requirements, which is the contractors making best efforts on minority set-asides. And they have to
Right.
submit the paperwork.
I can answer that right now. And he called me last week. In the last week, the funding got sort of positioned. So it's all town money. No federal, no state, no steep, no, whatever, OPM or DECD money. So right now, I don't know how you guys feel about, do you leave something in the bid package just in case, or do you just go out to bid assuming all town money?
I would go all town money.
And
I
then
wouldn't leave anything open. That just opens up a can of worms. And guess what? If something changes, we'll just have to redo it. I mean,
No,
it doesn't seem.
you can't redo it. It's a
Okay.
one-shot deal.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, what are the
If
odds?
you don't have it in there, then you have to ask for CHRO, it becomes a problem.
Right. That's
Well,
right.
so,
That's right.
but by leaving it in there, I mean, they're making best efforts. It's not, is it mandatory?
No,
We-
it's
we
not a
have
set aside. This is not a set aside program. It's something where they're gonna use best efforts.
I think.
Yeah.
They just have to submit the paperwork to the state or to the
Yeah.
CHRO.
And I'm familiar with that. The affirmative action plan has to get approved
Yeah.
by the state or the CHRO for a specific project. And I know what you're talking about, and it's taken a couple of months, but anyway, so we could leave it in.
There's a limit though, right? Isn't it anything over
As far-
100,000? There's a dollar limit to when you qualify for CHRO for fund, and when you have to actually do it.
Well, this would be, oh, you mean as far as the funding level?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
We're probably well.
we would be well over it if we get a significant portion of steep funds.
How's that?
That's
impact?
100,000.
What's that, Rocco?
I believe that's 100,000, that limit. Anything under doesn't need to apply for it.
Will leaving it in there affect potential bidders either way, negatively or positively?
I
I
think most of
think-
the big. Go
I
ahead,
think
go
most
ahead,
of the
Rob.
bidders are familiar with it. Most of the bidders know this form. It's just submitting the form with the bid. That they're gonna use best efforts.
And then we could assess at that time, Brian. Correct? Once we take the bids in, we could reassess at that time.
Yeah, you'll have the document in your hand, whether you need it or not, you'd still have it.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
Whether you make the contractor adhere to it is still up to you.
And since we're talking about this whole thing, as far as the funding goes, The idea right now is, and this is gonna be in the next week's town council, meeting, is there'll be $1 million of surplus used right out of the town's surplus fund. And they're gonna be bonding $3.7 billion, roughly. So it'll be almost a total of $5 million of town funds. I talked to Kevin yesterday, Kevin Delaney, finance director, and the timing of all this, assuming the town council approves his motion next week, and then 3 weeks later has a town meeting and approves the bond ordinance and all that. He said, we can bid next week or the week after, we'll be fine. The money would be in place if everything goes accordingly.
So are we targeting the end of the month to get out the bid?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, well, that, I'm saying, the schedule, there's no holding, I thought we might have to hold back, because I know the bond, stuff takes time, but he said, no, the money will be in place if the town council does 2 meetings, so I think you go ahead and get out there. So,
I'd like to go out as soon as possible.
I always say go out to bid as soon as possible. Even if
I
it's
agree.
over holidays, I mean, contractors, this is a really attractive project because you can do it in the winter. And for a project that doesn't need to go out and buy switchgear and doesn't need to buy a generator and doesn't need to buy panel boards, this is really attractive with the problems that other projects are having with those things. We did get prevailing wage rates, but that had a 20-day expiration. We did get them on August 29th, so I'll probably have to reapply for the wage rates just to get them updated. That's not a problem. And we just have to make sure that when you're ready to sign a contract, the Board of Ed is out of their space, because we don't have any moving within the contract for the contractor. They're assuming an empty space.
If there's no state or federal monies involved, we don't need prevailing wage. Right?
Yes, you do.
yeah,
We still do?
yeah, any public works
Public
project,
town.
yeah,
All right.
Yes.
yeah, it's independent, yeah.
And lastly, Jeff D'Onofrio, the town council, did review the contracts, gave me contract language, and all of that contract language is in the bid documents. So it's been reviewed. He's provided me the front end documents, and I've inserted them into the specifications. The invoice that you see in front of you tonight is for the additional services of Linden Landscape Architects. They're the ones that completed all the site drawings. If you recall, we had credited back $25,000 because you reduced the scope of phase 2 from the project. I think the invoice tonight is $8,000. So you're still in the black. So we were able to get that completed without having to spend extra money on a survey also. So I think we were,
Right, nicely done, thanks.
we were trying
Brian,
to.
do you have a list? Brian, do you have a list of bidders you're going out to, or how are you doing it?
It's gonna go on the state website.
Okay.
It'll get
And the
posted
top stuff.
to the DAS website. And we're gonna have all the documents distributed through Advanced Reprographics in Plainville. So they'll be
Okay.
able to download drawings and specs. They also
And
track
then-
the bidder activity. They track who has the documents. They'll distribute addendums.
And how long are we going out for?
I was going to go out for 4 weeks from whenever you tell me start. We were also planning for a pre-bid conference about 2.5 weeks into the process. So I'll have to reestablish those dates that we'll have a pre-bid conference with anybody who's interested.
Are we gonna make that mandatory?
We do not.
Yeah, this isn't a job.
I don't think there's anything here that's unique that they have to be there. I don't want to limit the bidders if they don't show up.
There's gonna be a lot of people qualifying. I think that.
I think, yeah. I think it's probably a lot.
So we're in agreement. We'll let it go the end of the month, the end of September.
Oh, yeah. I
Okay.
think you could just tell them to go as fast, as quickly as possible. Brian, I just want to coordinate with Marissa, the purchasing agent, to make sure she advertises it and puts the legal notice out. She's back on Tuesday, I think.
Great.
So we could just loop her in and make sure that anything she needs to have in the package, the legal notice and all that's included, and we can do advertising on our end as well as, and I've used Advanced Repro, they're great with these bids, it makes it so much easier.
Well, why
So
don't
we're
I
gonna
give you a call, Mike, and we can establish the new bid dates, the pre-bid conference dates, and then when bids are due. This is all being bid to a general contractor. This is not a construction management. This is all just going out to general contractor.
So if we go out, let's just theoretically say we go out on the 25th and we give it for a 4-week soak.
Mhm.
It looks like we take the bids back maybe on the 23rd of October.
Mhm. What day
Does
of the
that
week?
sound? Does that sound right, Brian? Or
What day of the week is the 23rd?
it's a Monday?
Yeah, I don't like bids due on Monday. I'd rather give them to a Thursday,
Okay, so you want to do the 26th or the 19th?
26th.
Okay,
Okay.
that gives them more than enough time.
Yeah. And I have the bids being delivered to Department of Public Works. Now, where would you like them to deliver if it's not DPW?
Yeah, we usually do it to this room 120.
Room 120.
By
yeah.
1 p.m. or something like that?
We usually do 2 p.m. on Thursdays. It's
Yep,
just
2 p.m.
good time. It's our long day and after lunch, we're awake by then.
Are we doing a public bid opening?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
At
and
2
that's
p.m.
why I want to loop Marissa in so she has, all that stuff sorted out.
So 2 p.m. on the 26th.
Yes.
You
Deal.
should have you should have the full set of drawings and specs. They were all dated September 7th.
Right. Yep, I got them. I know I had a little trouble, then I distributed it to them, to the group, and Doug.
And Brian, this is a one lump sum GC bid, right?
It is. We do not have any alternates.
Right, okay.
Do we have any breakdowns in the bid documents?
No, not at time of bid, no. They're gonna have to do a schedule of values, but at the bid time, it's one number.
Okay, so you didn't even break it down by phases?
No, we didn't ask for trade numbers, no.
Okay.
They don't even have to identify their trades.
Well, I think.
Oh, they don't have to name
Well,
themselves.
there was one concern I heard about, contractors front loading their schedule of values, like, the mob and all that, where, they put 800 grand in mobilization and they bang you for half of that at, their first bill, and then survey and stakeout come into 200 when it's probably 10, So, how do we control for that, Brian?
Well, you would sign a contract for the bid amount. That's the first thing. And then when they submit their schedule of values, we can go back and forth with the contractor.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
all right, got it. So really, it's more about the schedule of values that the town accepts.
Right, correct.
And we reserve our right on that, right?
You do.
Yes.
Okay, then that's,
It's like bidding a construction job or a construction loan. That's what I'm used to. So this is
yeah.
a better way to do it, really. You sit there and say no.
Check.
Most people pay attention to that and do it realistically.
So you can't build 70% of the total project when the foundation's poured.
Exactly.
Brian-
People we try, but.
Brian, are you
Again,
gonna ask for, after the pre-bid, they have a certain date to get the RFI questions back to you? You have that date
We
in,
do up to 48 hours. And if it's within 48 hours of the bid, we can issue an addendum, but it's only to extend the bid date. So
Gotcha.
we have 48 hours where we can still issue an addendum. Oh,
well,
it's a good little project. I think you're gonna get some interest. I think that people will be excited when this is available.
it's only been what, 10 years since we've been working on a police
know.
station?
Yeah,
Two
let's
buildings got built on Farmington Avenue, for crying out loud.
go. Let's go out to bid.
I don't have any
Well,
questions.
thanks for hanging in there.
Yeah, thanks, Brian.
Still here.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Good job, Brian. Thank you.
You should have told us the
Okay.
bricks on the invoices at once.
Oh, I just have one more thing. Brian,
Yes.
I think the town council, you know, when the town council, the second town council meeting, the 20, is it the 20? Anyway, just forwarding a request from the town council that there's a town meeting on this project. What is it? The 19th. At the town council meeting, the 19th, there'll be a town meeting at 6:45 on the bonding issue. And the request was to have some sort of presentation about what the project is, because it got reformulated from the, that 5-phase or 4-phase project. So they asked for the PVC, and I said, well, would it also be helpful to have Jakuski Hughes there? So are you available and willing?
You
On
know,
the
I
19th?
don't have my calendar, but I can find out right after this meeting.
I just wanted to put it out there that the request is in for the PVC to just be there and just give a little, what are we doing here as far as why do we need $3.7 million of bonding?
Yeah, that's
That's basically
that's
the
next
town
Tuesday.
meeting. They'll be voting on it afterwards, the town council.
Well, that bonding, the decision to do that isn't up to us.
I know, but I
That's up
think
to them.
they want an update on what the project is.
Okay.
What is it? What's the town buying for, like, $4.7 million? So anyway, putting it out there, coordinate with Brian. and-
He
and
needs to
maybe-
be there.
Yeah.
He needs to be there.
Great. If not, we can tag him on that. Anyway, I'm sorry, that was a last minute thing that I just occurred to me.
Yeah, we could put together a little presentation for that, Mike.
Awesome.
That'd be good.
Yeah. I'm done.
Nothing else? You can go to dinner.
Okay, let's do it. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Next order.
And I
please.
guess, is the Jakuski Humes invoice just the invoice for,
Well,
I,
Why don't we do all the invoices together? Why
well,
don't we-
technically it's,
Let's do Willard next.
okay.
Can you just accept the invoice for Jakuski?
Yeah, Lisa's got an order. She's gonna.
Oh.
come into this.
What?
I make a motion, we approve the invoice. for
It's
Jakuski.
for $6,600 and it's for the Linden Landscape Architects site.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Feel better, Lise?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Board of Ed.
Okay.
Who wants to work on this?
You can start.
quagmire?
Don can start. I can start. If Patrick can start.
Good, Patrick.
Okay, Patrick.
News at 11.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, Patrick,
Good evening.
make it home yesterday?
What was that?
Did you make it home yesterday?
Yeah, we
Storm?
actually didn't get the weather that the other parts of the state did. It was actually a pretty nice night from what I was awake for anyway.
Good.
But I mean, as far as the project goes, everything's going pretty well. The mains are all up in the corridors. They've been tested. They're starting to insulate. They've had some back and forth through an insulator getting them mobilized and staying on site. But I think as of today, that should be sorted out. Outside, the trench has been backfilled. I wasn't sure if that was done when you guys had visited the site. I don't think so. So that's all in. The pipes all pressure tested. They were able to patch back the concrete for the sidewalk, and that was opened up before the kids were in school. They had started doing some branch lines in the classrooms. They actually upsized their manpower. Now that they've had some of the other school projects have ended. And in about 2 weeks from now, they're going to start hitting the branch lines inside the classrooms a little bit harder. Yesterday, we were walking around and seeing what was in the classrooms that we're going to have to, Allstate's going to have to move around furniture wise. There's some classrooms that it's no big deal. It's a couple desks and a little bit of furniture. Other classrooms, the younger classrooms, have a lot of what I'll say is the materials they use for instruction. That's we're gonna have to work with the school to get some of that moved. Other than that, the unit ventilators and fan coils, they're expected to start arriving in the middle of November. And once those get in, we'll start putting the unit vents in, we're gonna be basically taking overall floor plan of the school and highlighting which rooms and what nights they'll be going to and communicating that to the school. So now we're gonna be in the classrooms, it's gonna be a little more sensitive to the individual teachers. The chiller is expected, it's still holding for July 5th of next year, which is still, I mean, it's a long lead, but it's what we expected. And that's what we had scheduled when Newfield put it together for you. Looking at my list here. The other one that's kind of far out there is the switchboard that's coming July 8th. So that's coming pretty much about the same time as the chiller anyway. So that won't have too much of an impact to the overall schedule. So as far as what we saw at the time we were going out to the bids of the contractors, we still seem to be pretty good on pace for that. They have, before the students were in, they did wrap up the above ceiling existing conditions work, the electrical, all the electrical that need to be tied back up, supported correctly. That was done in time. Russell and the PM from Allstate and the superintendent, they're supposed to be getting me the final tally of what the cost was there. I think we're going to be we should be under what the allowance was that we carried at bid time. I think so. Out at the chiller itself, an issue came up, but probably about, I want to say it was 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point, where we were getting a lot of water in the pad area where the chiller is going to be going. And what we have by design is it's just a local pad for each chiller and the equipment, and the surround is going to be basically just gravel. So now the thought is to make it a true pad. And I got the rough order of magnitude from Russell today, their project manager. He's expecting it around 18,000, which was a little higher than I anticipated, but concrete has been fluctuating a lot recently.
So this is a full concrete pad around it. Is this with or without the dry wells?
No dry wells, just sheet flow off the
Just a
concrete.
sheet flow off the
Yeah.
concrete.
Yeah.
Now, does the wall around it already have leak holes or whatever, drain holes in it?
Well, right now, the issue we have is really there's a block wall shown going up 8 feet all the way around it. So what we'd like to do is go to a chain link fence style with slats, and it goes 10 feet high. So the 8 feet, and then the water can run right underneath it.
Yep.
The problem we're running, we still haven't got confirmation back from the engineer of the DB level at, let's say, 60 feet or 100 feet. So we need to see what it is without the wall, with the unit standalone.
Yep.
What it is with the
With the
wall. And then we can make a determination, because we'll get something out of the fence, but not as much as the wall.
Yeah, well, but even with the wall, I mean, when you have like, just, I'm gonna say cutouts, but, just.
Yeah, weep holes.
Yeah, not even weep holes, but just, actual physical, block wide width where it's
Yeah,
a
good.
foot. I mean, there's no reason for that. I mean, you don't need it continuously.
Yeah.
I mean, you already have the gate on one end, the fence on one end. So, I mean, the concrete slab, is that a want or is that a need?
I think at this point it becomes a need, because, well, if we go with some pits, then we got pumps,
Well, no,
and so we
no,
gotta monitor it.
but-
And we gotta get DEP approval, approval if we do something.
Well, but I guess for the slab is for what? To promote runoff? I mean, right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
Just sheet
to
flow. off.
prevent it. Right now, we went out there yesterday, it was a swimming
It
pool.
was a
no, I understand that,
Yeah.
but it's a swimming pool. So right now, there's no wall around it.
There is,
There is a
yeah,
wall
the
around.
foundation walls, and then it's set down for either gravel or whatever's gonna come in.
Okay,
So,
so
yeah,
I guess my point is the gravel is the gravel intended to come up above the foundation wall? And then there's gonna be weep holes or holes in the concrete wall to let the drainage. I mean, so you're not creating the bathtub, so you have the gravel up to whatever, you have the weep holes around it, so it can sheet flow out of
So we
that.
went to Thomas, measured a flat slab with
Yep.
4-inch housekeeping pads.
Yep.
That's all we got. So your idea of taking a block out at the base, it's a good idea. I like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I just don't,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, the the swimming pool is an effect of the sidewalls. It's
Keep the
not,
water in.
Exactly,
so-
right.
fine, bring the grade up with gravel to that level, create the weed poles in the first course of block.
Yeah.
Assuming that you still have some freeboard on the concrete pads for the equipment.
Yeah, we do.
You will, yeah.
And so as long as you have that, I mean, the reality of it is the gravel there is good, but it's clay underneath, so you're not getting any
Correct, that's the
infiltration.
problem.
So,
Right.
so you need the runoff regardless what you do. And as long as if you just do, like I said, the weed pole, the block weed poles on the bottom.
Yeah, I like that.
And just do it around it, so it's like every whatever, on each side, every 4 feet or something, a full block.
Yeah.
Or a half block is gone,
Block is
just so you
probably-
don't get, you know,
And it's
whatever.
better than a weed pole too, because it won't clog.
It won't
Right,
clog,
right.
exactly.
With leaves
So
going
we-
there and
But if we get the STC thing, sound transmission coefficient down, then we could maybe go with the fence.
Well, they're gonna get savings on the block.
There may be some, but we gotta
Yeah.
add her for the concrete.
Yeah, I guess with the, I mean, I'm looking at it as like, I mean, the concrete is nice, but it's, if you're gonna get the runoff and you're gonna get limited infiltration, but as long as you have a drainage through the sides,
Yeah.
you're not really gonna build up the pool.
Yeah.
And as long as it's gonna gravel thickness, it's not gonna be mud.
Now with the design we have now, there won't be anything. It'll just sheet flow off of it, as long as we have the big enough holes to let the water.
Yeah,
out.
but get the whole.
But I like the
Bring the gravel.
I like
up to
the whole
the-
pool with block, because you don't have to worry about debris blocking it.
Don't,
right?
absolutely.
And the contractor did say it wasn't just rainwater getting trapped inside the swimming pool, it was actually pumping from beneath. They actually put a pump in and they were pumping it out, and the groundwater was still coming in, because you got the river there, you got, whatever,
It's
so.
the high water.
So you put a slab there, which slab's.
Well,
So.
Well, it won't, basically,
Anti-buoyant.
yeah, exactly.
Okay,
yeah,
well-
built a 6-inch slab, 3 or 4, so it's basically gonna be like the slab inside the building,
Tied into the wall.
but.
So-
Yeah,
whole thing
no,
will
but even
go-
then, yeah, it's,
It's,
but
and it'll be doweled into the wall, so that was the concept.
it's still gonna, it's still gonna leak, unless you,
It's in a bad spot.
well, unless you tie it into whatever you call those, what do you call those?
areas.
The water,
Yeah.
water stop.
Yeah,
And unless you have the poured water stop in, it's still gonna come up through the cracks.
Yeah.
Or the, whatever, construction.
so your
joints.
approach is bring the gravel up to the top of the foundation wall,
Just
have the
have
weed
the weed
poles
poles.
or the block.
the
you know,
block holes,
yeah.
forget the weed poles, the
Yeah.
block holes.
and there's
So-
a pad above that.
Right.
And the pad, as long as the equipment pad stands
4
above the
inches.
gravel.
Oh, it will,
it's
yeah.
4 inches
Then,
above.
then.
Well, we're not even gonna put gravel, we're just gonna go with concrete.
Well, but I don't know, I mean, to me, concrete is nice, but you don't need it. Because, granted, you're not getting infiltration, but you could save the money on the concrete. You just, as long as it's gravel, it's not gonna be muddy, it's just gonna be gravel pad. It's just gonna be, and I would just use what, a 1/2 inch stone to get the, process.
So what you're recommending is just fill the total inside.
Well, above the foundation, so then when you do the
But
wall.
right now, there's probably 2 feet down to where the soil or whatever that crap is in there. Just fill that all the way up with 1/2 inch.
Well, isn't that what the plan, wasn't that what the
It
plan
was,
shows?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
But I think they actually had a reveal where I think the inside of the foundation, the gravel might have been
Hey,
below the
the
top of the
concrete,
foundation
right,
wall, yeah.
Yeah, I would, if it brought it up to the
Yeah.
top, so you didn't have those cutouts.
Yeah.
Of the block, I mean, that's a
But
thought. I
The
mean,
water will still come up and fill up and then go out through the,
Wow.
hole in the
But it
block.
shouldn't go above the pad, onto the pad.
No, you already
Yeah,
have,
as
I
long
think,
as,
4
as long as
inches.
the weed
3
poles are,
inches.
I mean, as long as the cutouts are below the
Right.
equipment pads. I mean, you can have the concrete, I just,
Yeah,
whatever.
no, I don't wanna spend any money if we don't have.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know.
That's a good idea.
If we need to do if we were doing a lot of stuff out there, we're gonna need, bring a lot of equipment out, working out there all the time, fine, better work, but. I don't.
Hopefully,
know.
there's not that much work to do out
Yeah,
there.
hope not.
That's another option.
Well, you didn't hear that we did get the price, $18,000.
Yeah.
For the concrete.
And we just get a credit for the little blocks they leave out.
Yeah.
10 blocks.
61 cents.
No, but then that gets what,
No,
that
that's
gets
why,
wiped
that's
away.
why we gotta, it's gonna be $100 a hole,
No, we-
$200
We
a hole.
bought those blocks to be $610. Credit back for not using it, 61 cents.
All right, there you go, perfect.
All right, so we'll get,
Actually, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
We should ask and see if that's more
And-
feasible
and
than.
then David's on the line, and David, I guess you can get that STC question answered with respect to what it is with, the block wall versus a chain
Without
link
it.
fence,
Or no.
or
without it.
nothing,
Or
right? Nothing, the block wall,
I think
and then we
chain-
can work out the chain link fence.
Yeah, but
Right.
based on the conversations as of yesterday and the emails that went back and forth, it sounds like the chain link fence is a dead issue.
Well, it sounded like that, but Don would like to know what the numbers are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's-
but I mean, even
Before-
apart from the numbers, going back for approvals and.
And it's not a big deal.
To P&Z then?
It's not a big deal though. And they you get that through in a day. But no, I like Tom's idea. That we don't have to do anything. Everyone agrees to that, but you want to go with Pony or Phil, right?
I'm sorry?
You wanna
Yeah,
go
maybe a
Pony or-
little, I mean, it just. It's enough, doesn't hurt, I guess. Again, as long as it's filled above the,
Well, if that
Concrete
water
slab.
comes up, will that cause the, half-inch rock to just float out through the block holes?
no, and if it's half-inch rock, it's not gonna get muddy versus
Yeah.
process.
Right, well, it'll be 2 feet of rock in,
Yeah.
so.
It's just gonna be rain. It's not.
It's-
rain
yeah,
stream
yeah.
flowing.
Well, who
And
knows
again,
with
as
the
long as,
amount
and
of water
again, as
that
long as
goes
the
in there.
equipment pads are above that elevation of the.
Right, I see, I know, I see what
So
you're
it still
saying.
drains out.
Yeah, but the base of the equipment pads will be in that submersed
Well, we gotta raise the base up
gravel
anyways,
zone, when it's, wet.
but we're gonna raise the bases up no matter what.
No, I know that, yeah.
So there's gonna be.
The base is gonna be
Well,
up
they're-
4
they're, I
inches
think,
and then
a
the
foot and a half
equipment will
thick
be 10
anyway.
inches.
And I think he was gonna put another couple inches.
Yeah, we're gonna own for that.
Yeah.
So that's not a,
When
That's
when
not a
you're
big-
talking about raising the bases, do you mean the pads that were there by contract?
yeah, just raising those pads up probably whatever it is to get it to the top of the.
Yeah.
The foundation wall level.
And Patrick, we're not talking about raising the whole, from the bottom, it's actually to make them,
Extending it.
higher. The base
Yeah.
will still be as designed, you know what I'm saying? So instead of being 18 inches thick, they might be 22 inches thick or something like that. I forget what the actual.
They
Yeah.
didn't have it.
Yeah, it hasn't been poured yet, so. it doesn't-
No,
Oh, so the equipment.
Oh,
pads
that's where I'm hesitating a little bit. I'm trying to pull up the look ahead schedule. I think they were supposed to be pouring those tomorrow.
well, I think he was
He
gonna,
raised them.
Yeah.
He was raising them
he
already.
was bringing the formwork up
4
above,
inches.
yeah, up, he was
Anyway.
increasing the formwork height, but it
Okay.
wasn't like lifting the whole form up. As far as the bottom of the form is gonna be the same spot.
Just threw another 2x6 or 2x10. on
Right.
it.
Yeah,
And because he was anticipating us pouring a slab up to it,
Yes.
which will still be.
So
above
that's
that.
fine. That-
Yeah,
but it actually, if
No,
you
we're-
bring the gravel up, it'll still be the same situation. So
same
actually, it's gonna
elevation.
work with either one.
I like that. I like his
Yeah.
idea. It's a good idea.
As long as no one shoots it down for a technical reason,
yeah, maybe weeds.
Well,
Well, you never know.
no, it was gonna be gravel there anyway. That was the base design. And
Not that kind.
any other
Not that
concerns,
kind.
Patrick?
Not in the dark.
What was that, Mike?
Any other concerns with that approach? Or, I mean, we're right now, it's still brainstorm time, but any other problems with maybe a gravel coming up to the top of the foundation wall in lieu of the slab?
I mean, I don't think so. As long
We'll run
as
it by,
we keep,
yeah,
as
we'll
long
run
as
it
we
by
keep
Scott
the, yeah, as long as we keep the pad, if they're elevating the top of the pad, that will probably be fine.
Yeah, and then the cutouts in the wall, instead of just weep holes, having like a
Yeah.
whole block,
or half
Width,
blocks or whatever.
half block, a full block width, but
Every
say a
4
half
feet.
block height every 4 feet or whatever. Just so there's a big, whatever, a
Like a gum
drainage
turret.
spout, yeah.
World War II.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm deep in thought trying to think about what could potentially be, come of that.
Don't sell, let him pour tomorrow. He was raising it up last we talked to him, so
Yeah,
do what he's doing.
all right.
Mike, I just had a quick question.
Sure.
So a finished grade, we're going to be about 42 inches above current grade. On the
42
detail, I can't remember what that was for the footings of the pad. I mean, if we have 4 feet of water, we're gonna have bigger problems than the chillers getting wet. That's all I'm saying. As long as we're 3 or 4 feet, can't remember the finished detail on that on the footing pads.
Yeah, I think when Tom and I were out there yesterday, if you start getting up, and then we're talking about the chiller, the components that would be affected by water coming up, because they're also standing on their like platform or whatever.
And then
So
you gotta
I think it was like
throw about
18 inches.
10 inches, at the minimum of 10 inches on top of the 4 inches. So the 4 inches of the platform and another 10 inches before you even get to
Right,
a minimum of 10. Could be 12, could be 16
right.
before you get to
Yeah,
anything that the water's gonna hit.
yeah. So Doug, we were out there, you would, the whole, everything would be flooded. We'd be going around with kayaks. you know,
Right.
So,
And it's across the road,
Yeah.
up a couple of feet.
yeah.
There'll be water into the building before it gets into the chillers the way this is, though. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
So the point is taken. I got it.
And just if you go out there and look, Doug, where the top of that foundation wall is now, the pads will be 4 inches higher than that.
Okay, thank you.
I thought, was Doug out? Oh, no, Doug stayed inside. All right, anything else?
Tom,
no.
we were dealing with moving furniture and books. We missed the block wall tour. Sorry, we were talking about furniture and books.
Oh, yeah, you're right, you're right.
The open house issue, when the contractor decided he could work in the hallways because he didn't think it was intrusive, or?
We discussed that yesterday, yeah, there's still, work that needs to be done. There needs to be better communication between, and I guess it's gonna run through between Jeff Cogno and the principal and the administrators of the school.
Well, I mean, I see
That's
that,
my opinion.
well,
based
but I see
upon
those
what
people are I see the meeting minutes. I haven't looked at the attendance. I assume those.
They're all in that
school-
meeting.
They're in that meeting. There's a presentation of the schedule for that meeting. Is there a question or discussion of, okay, what is the, can work proceed as normal? Is there curtailed activities? I mean, just to make sure that that conversation occurs. If everybody's there and the schedule's there, it shouldn't be a
Well,
question.
my
problem.
opinion,
And
my opinion is all that
You
stuff
started.
is done and nobody pays attention to
Yeah, no, I know.
Well, I think it's
So-
a meeting, you create a line item, have a 2-week look ahead on the schedule.
it. Right.
And everyone talks about it and they work through it.
And I think they have to be proactive. Hate the use of that word, but somebody's got to give it to the principal.
Yeah.
So that she knows, because she got a million other things.
Yeah, no, I
In her
understand.
defense, this is not something that she's used to. She's used to
Yeah.
38 classrooms, teachers coming in and whining, parents coming in and whining, kids coming in and whining. She's not used to contractors walking around with rough,
Yeah.
know-it-all type answers that can happen when everybody's doing their stuff. So I think, and I'll volunteer to do it. I know the principal. She knows my family. She was good friends with a good friend of ours, taught with her over in Hubbard when she was there for many years. So I'm just gonna say, if she has any issues, to call us,
Yeah.
because I'm not sure she's getting there with the same impact what you're talking about.
Yeah, no,
She might be getting a piece of paper, somebody yelling in her ear. Okay. But her main concern is the safety of the kids.
and I'm good with that. I mean, I guess I'm
Yeah.
looking at it as, I would be looking to Jeff in the school system to say, hey, look, open house, no activity in the
Yeah,
hallway.
they're
Just to be
gonna,
very clear
they're
on
gonna
that.
they're gonna reaffirm
Yeah.
the schedules. Everybody played scatter
Yeah.
when that happened, so who knows whether
Yeah.
so-and-so had the schedule,
No,
whether
that's fine.
so-and-so paid attention to it. The point is, with to Don's point exactly, look, you got a 2-week schedule and a 2-week look ahead. That's why you have it.
Yeah.
So every 2 weeks, or every whatever, after every meeting, you have a 2-week look ahead and say, this is coming up, this is coming up, this is coming up.
Okay,
And if Allstate has to change their scheduling, they have to change their schedule. The principal kind of has a little bit of she can be a dictator in cases like this.
yeah, it's her space.
It's her school.
Yeah, no,
So if she
I
doesn't
respect
want
that.
the contractors in there, they're,
yeah, but
anywhere in the school on certain nights, they can't come.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
But
I
I think the issue was, in my opinion, the issue was a total lack of communication back and forth. And I'm not sure where that fell down, so
Okay.
I'll volunteer to go in there and talk to her on a regular
Yeah.
basis.
Thank you.
And at yesterday's meeting, Newfield requested Allstate to give them
Yes.
floor plan with blocks. And Patrick, you can chime in, but blocks when
Right,
and where, like, because they're doing 2 classrooms at a time.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, when are you doing these two? When are you doing these two? What do we need to do?
Perfect.
And
Yeah, as long
there
as-
may be, and Newfield, I mean, Allstate was also told for some of the, like, the open houses, they may not be able to have anyone in the building.
Right.
And
For
Patrick
that- for
pointed
that
out
night.
that the school schedule was in the bid document, so they knew
Right.
there were areas where, so they bought the job with that
Yeah.
understanding, but they're like, there was a little misunderstanding that, well, we didn't know it was gonna happen like this, you know? So I have a feeling they can flex their workforce like they're doing now. They're bringing extra guys in from other jobs. Say
Right.
there's an open house, and guess what? You can't go in you can't hide all you guys in the mechanical room,
Right,
and you can't go in the hallways, and we can't block them off, because that's what I heard from yesterday's meeting. It's like,
right.
Tom he's been in them, he said, everyone's running everywhere. So how can you work with kids running around and
Yeah,
parents
no,
Oh,
going?
there was people everywhere.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's
there.
And Patrick, you can chime in on that if you want to add
Kids go
anything.
there, right?
to it.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
that's
like,
what-
Yeah.
Yeah, your trucks.
To me,
Open house, but you're not doing it.
Yeah. Let Patrick say.
All right.
so I don't know where the disconnect was on, we had the conversation about the open house weeks before it had happened.
Yeah.
And I think they just thought they'd be okay in the lower level, and they weren't. And unfortunately, it happened, and I don't disagree with the principal telling them that they had to leave for the night. They shouldn't have been in the, well, say, front-facing part of the building. So now, looking at the rest of the schedule, we've got 3 other days this fall, 3 days in October that this could be happening too. So I'm gonna try to take a little bit of a more of a lead with Jeff Cugno, trying to work with him on the communications to the school and the teachers. That's part of the reason why I'm here.
That's needed.
Yeah, and I need to, so I'm gonna work with him and have more conversations, kind of develop that relationship with him, and I'll try to, I think we'll, at some point in the next few weeks, hopefully before they actually start working in the classroom, sitting down with Jeff and the principal, trying to set expectations, put her mind at ease a little bit, before we go in. And there's gonna be more disruption at night to the classrooms in the next 2 weeks than there have been in the project so far. The intent is when the teachers show up in the morning, they shouldn't really be able to tell that anyone was there,
Right.
but there'll be a lot more activity in each individual room. And it's, I mean, if you think
Well,
about it,
according to the schedule, it's gonna be 2 rooms
Mhm.
per night.
yes,
So with some focus on each of those 2 rooms, the way that was laid out, boy, oh boy, they ought to be able to do something. I mean, it's not that complicated. It's just
No.
explaining what's going on. My own opinion is that the principal wasn't informed the way she should have been. And that she was taken by surprise, and her reaction was, get the hell out of here.
Hey, Patrick, we're gonna leave this in your capable hands to make sure this doesn't happen again.
yeah,
Okay?
definitely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. We wanted to talk to,
Go ahead.
CES about if there's any remaining issues with the unit ventilators and the filler panels, right? I think that, hey, Patrick, just so I know, the UVs have been released, but then, David came out with, a note about what was in the specs, which actually clearly says that the contractor has to fill in around the unit ventilators as specified. But are there any open issues with that as far as from ASC? Are they gonna come at us with a change order or some sort of extra?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
See, a lot of that came up while I was out for a week. But the way I interpret it, as far as the size of the unit and whatever we need to make up with filler pieces, they would own that.
Right, right, okay. David, you're on the line too, right?
Right.
And that's your understanding as well, right?
Yes, they definitely own it. I gave them multiple citations from the documents. They own it.
Right.
There was some back and forth between the sales rep and ASC as far as how to get it done. That's why I sent that email saying, hey, you have to get it done.
Right,
Yeah.
got it. And he was quoting, he had sections of the specs in
Right,
the,
right.
in his email, like snapshots and stuff, so that was pretty clear that it was in the package, so.
Make
And-
sure Swan understands no more upselling on the job. or attempts to upsell.
Yeah, we had a conversation with them. It wasn't supposed to turn into that. It was supposed to be, how do you, because the filler panels, his position was, well, if you go with an upsize unit, you can prepare yourself for the future if you put in condensing boilers and you reduce the length of the end panels. So potentially it could have been cost neutral, but then when I was out during the week, it sounded like an upsell, and it turned into, you know, like $900 per unit or something like that, which everyone shot down, rightfully so. So
Yeah.
they're gonna have to do it in a way where they just provide the end panels, no
Yeah.
added cost.
That's what we'd like.
Well,
We're
that's
asking
what's
for
in the-
nothing more than we asked for.
That's what's in the spec, and that's what they owe us.
Right. Agreed.
Thank you.
I wanted to answer your question earlier. So we did a quick calc. We're not acoustical consultants by any means, but we're coming up with 58 dBA at the lot line with no wall.
Okay.
From my understanding, a fence wouldn't absorb much sound. I'm sure you would
Right.
be lower than 58, but probably not by much.
That's 58 with the block wall?
No, without.
No, without it. Just assuming nothing. If you had nothing, because a chain link fence is closer to nothing than it is to a block wall.
What we don't know is what the town ordinance is or what.
There probably is no town ordinance. It's just a comfort factor for the neighbors.
Right.
I
What I would
couldn't,
say.
we couldn't find the town ordinance. We found deep requirements. Deep has 55 dBA during the day at the lot line, 45 at night.
All right.
So we're over a little bit
With nothing, you're over.
with. In your opinion, how much will a block wall block and how much would a wire fence with slats block?
He doesn't.
I know
So-
you don't know.
I can just tell you from, engineering judgment from past experiences, definitely not an acoustical consultant, but the block wall, in our opinion, will get you well below the 45. But again, the caveat is we're not an acoustical consultant.
Right.
How high is
Um,
the block of the top of the chiller? Do you know?
I think I'd have to look. It's at least the top of the chiller. I think it's
I don't-
taller than the chiller.
Oh, because I think that
Well, they,
doesn't they have all those things can't have anything above them. The top of the chiller's a fan, right?
Right. You
So
really,
a fan can be below anything so many feet out.
right. There is clearance requirements. You can go slightly above the level of the chiller, but if you go substantially above it, you're now creating a bowl and you don't.
Right.
So it looks like we're at 11'8" to 10'2" from this drawing I'm looking at for the wall height. It seems to vary. That should be slightly above the top of the chiller. I'd have to go pull up a chiller cut sheet to confirm.
all right. And the sound for the chillers, the majority of the sound is coming out the top anyways with the wind noise, correct?
A lot of it is. I'm not sure if it's the majority. There is compressor noise. The compressors do have the sound package, so they have insulation blankets on them. But it's a
right.
mixture.
So if we go with Tom's thing, all we got to pay for is the added slab or the pad height, and we just go with the block wall as designed.
Oh, that's true, right?
Yeah,
So just leave
I
it
like
alone.
that.
Yeah,
Just take out every other block, like you said, or every
Right.
3, 4, or 5 feet, take out a whole block.
right, because if the
Now let
slab
the
goes
water
away,
run out,
the
yeah.
18 becomes what? A nominal increase because of the extra stone,
Extra stone.
right?
So it's just
Okay.
the height plus the larger stone.
Yeah.
So I like that idea.
And I get to keep the colors that I had to pick since Bart didn't do his job.
They'll probably be rejected by P and Z.
I know. I'm hoping so. Get into a fight.
What else
All
we
right.
got?
Anything else,
Well,
Patrick?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We also wanted to have a conversation with CES about the billing and how they're gonna go forward, billing up to 100% for
Yeah.
construction administration.
Well,
Because we have-
I got a question for Patrick, as long as you're still on the line. Is there anything delaying the job right now that hasn't come back from submittal review?
I think the only thing that is, no. No. I was gonna
So you
say, I was gonna say that I think the, where I was hesitating was the controls package, but I think that's all in Allstate's court, and that's all due to be in October. So that shouldn't be any issue.
Okay, so there's nothing that's causing any delays, electrical switchgear, nothing like that, other than the normal manufacturing process.
Correct.
Okay,
And everything, all the projected dates we've got for shipping dates fall pretty close to in line with what the schedule that we had put together.
How often are they gonna be submitting updates on the schedule, on the procurement?
We get the week for the procurement, we get weekly updates during our meetings on Wednesdays.
yeah, we just want to make sure if there's anything that's hot in there that at least we know. You can send out an email, it'll copy the whole group, but we want to just keep pushing it, whatever it takes to drive this. We don't need any delays.
You know, or if anything's due to manufacturers slipping dates that we know ahead of time.
Of course.
I don't have anything else for Patrick.
Okay. Me neither.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thanks,
All right,
Patrick.
thanks, Patrick.
Thank you.
David, anything?
We're
Just-
not letting David go yet.
No, well, we want to understand like, and I already pretty notified him about this. So I guess, you know, the question is, because right now we have 2 invoices, the second one bills at 100% of support during construction. And
Right.
we're just in the middle of, you know, we'll be at the beginning of the construction process. So I guess the question is, how are you gonna handle that?
Well, so I'll give you a little backstory, and this is us being completely candid. This RCA fee was from 2016. It was just rolled forward when the project was revived. So in that last meeting with you gentlemen, I mentioned how we got all the submittals up front. We basically chewed through majority of that, 2016 fee then. And then the continued meetings, we've used up all of our fee. So we're, from this point on, we're kind of just eating it.
And that was it $9,000?
Right.
That the,
Right.
the CA for a year and a half construction project? Although a lot of it's at the front end, but still.
That was a good deal for us.
Yeah, so, all right, so he answered the question.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay. So essentially by approving the invoices, it won't mean that they're like, okay, I got paid for 100%, we're disappearing. They're basically standing with their proposal,
Okay.
so.
David, is there anything on your side right now that you see as an issue for the project?
Not really. I mean, it sounds like things are falling into place. There could be some, things to work out with doing the night work, which Patrick was talking about, the 2 classrooms a night. But as far as actual equipment and things they've submitted, we're good to go.
I like your diplomatic response on the dielectric fittings.
Yeah, that was well done.
Okay, thanks. I generally try to be diplomatic.
I don't, but.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
I was walking through and I said, why aren't there any dielectrics there? And everyone just looked at me with blank faces, so. You would have caught, I'm sure you guys would have caught it on a walkthrough.
After they were all installed.
Right. Yeah, it might have been too late. So that was it was a good catch, and now it's taken care of.
Yeah, thank you. I have nothing else.
I'm good.
All right. Okay,
Thanks, David.
thanks a
All right.
lot, David.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
See ya. Wow, that's nice. They're gonna hang in there.
One thought,
Choice contract.
I know. I
Yeah.
know.
yeah, one thought I had was, maybe they could, well, he's now remoting into the meetings,
Yeah.
which is gonna save them.
Same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
that, the travel time, whatever, but maybe there'll be a time when I don't know, I'm just trying to think of a way to reduce the pain a little bit without,
Well, let's stop there
whatever,
for a minute,
okay.
because I just want to throw it out there. He said he burned up all his hours doing this middle review. He owned that anyways.
I know, yeah, I know.
By base
I know.
contract.
I know
The
that,
CA is in addition to that.
Yeah.
So,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they didn't update their fee from 2016,
I know,
shame on them.
Yeah.
What's that delta?
yeah,
let's see how they perform in the rest of the job.
Yeah,
Figure something out.
gotcha.
Exactly. Right
Well,
now, everybody's sort of friendly and just
Yeah.
see how
Well,
things work.
they're standing up, they're standing with their feet,
So far.
you know, yeah,
So
so,
far.
that's admirable,
But if things go sideways,
right,
and we have to get their involvement a little more.
Right.
You know, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But I think Patrick's gonna do a good job with that communication.
Well, it's his job.
Yes.
Yes.
But what happened, he saw firsthand the
Chaos.
dynamic. You weren't at the meeting yesterday.
I know the dynamic. I've
Yeah,
been there
yeah.
a few times.
Yeah,
I get it loud and clear.
yeah. So
This is the dynamic.
I was hoping you were gonna be there because I would have been less irritated.
You were pretty diplomatic, huh?
I held my
You
tongue,
were
and there was
actually-
a lot of times where I didn't need to hold my tongue.
And by the
These
way,
people
I,
were being too cute.
Yeah. I will say this, I think, the PBC's presence at these meetings is helpful.
Yeah.
Just so I think from now on, I'm gonna do a reminder every week so that.
If I'm
'cause
available,
you guys
I'll
have
go.
I mean, both of you being there has helped tremendously.
They looked at me when I walked in and go,
Yeah.
like, you doing here?
Yeah,
Not him again.
yeah,
Can't play mom against dad kind of thing.
yeah.
So,
What do we got for invoices?
okay, we'll start with CES. The invoices we talked about, I have one for $7,200 and one for $1,800, bringing a total to $9,000.
Motion to approve.
I have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. CES, get some money. Next one is SES. I have a dated 30th of August for $2,250. Their total contract amount is $15,000. They billed $4,500 to date. This is an additional $2,250.
Do we have a schedule of values on those
I don't-
guys?
I don't think so.
We don't have a schedule of values. All we have is
Because they're
basically.
doing all the commissioning, right?
Yeah, I know what some of this includes. They did the commissioning plan. They did their kickoff meeting with the group, and then they actually, and that thing, they presented their commissioning plan. I don't think it includes the site, no, it doesn't include the site inspection they did this week. So I know at least those two things were.
It'd be nice to get a little explanation on there. but-
Oh, you mean there's no, oh, well then, if you, you wanna,
Well, it's 2,200. We know they did some work,
Yeah.
but in the future, just
Gotcha.
for auditing purposes, just later on, say, look, just
Well, like, I agree with Tom. Their base bill is 15 grand. They billed us 4,500 to date. They're billing us this term, 2,200 bucks.
yep,
What is that? What did 4,500 buy us?
Right.
What did this buy us? That's all, just line item. It doesn't have to be
do you
detailed.
want that before you approve this, or do you want it, like, do you want, cause I can ask Walker for this, tomorrow,
You know, we'll approve this.
okay?
All
but
right.
then no more.
Future on invoices,
Future
but I
is-
we
No, no, but I
also want,
want-
I
but I
know,
want-
I
I
know,
want the accounting.
yes,
backwards.
so for the 4,500 and the 2,200, you want to
Cash
do
out on
that,
all of this.
right,
And it
got
just
it.
has
Could be a
to
one-line item.
Doesn't even have to be in English. It has to be bullet points,
No, it has to be.
proper English. Doesn't have to be in
King's
King's
English.
The King's
Yeah,
English?
King's
It could be a
Okay.
bullet, point,
Got it,
but
all right,
we need something to give the auditors. And you can
Gotcha.
blame the auditors.
no, I
Or
think.
blame me, I don't care.
That's a reasonable request, don't worry
Okay.
about
Motion
Got
to
it.
approve.
Second, right, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Pretty opposed?
Aye.
It doesn't have to be approved or rejected.
that. It was just
The Rocco,
That was a delay.
that was a delay, okay. So what's the last thing we had to put in? Never mind. Briar Architecture. I have an invoice dated August 31st for $1,300. Wait a minute. Yeah, $1,380.
Any description there either?
And
I think he does include stuff.
he does have
Yeah.
a little bit. He says site design. The prior ones were site design, drawing specifications, additional services, document update, coordination, new field. This one is contract administration, 11 and a half hours. Project manager.
Doing what?
It doesn't
Okay,
say. He was-
So same thing.
Yeah,
Okay,
just a little bit
right,
more than, I mean, they made a good attempt. We'll give them points,
How
right.
much does he want this go around?
$1,380.
I make a motion, we pay him.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Who did the design?
All right, Rocco.
Who did the design of the?
I'm listening.
Prior, yeah,
So we'll see that bill in the future.
probably.
No, we don't need it.
Tell
Well, I
me,
don't-
tell him we didn't go with it, so we're not paying.
Well, he,
If we went with it, it would have been
But
brilliant.
they
We'd
come
have
up
paid
with the right idea, so.
well, then he did the slab. And now he'll have to do a detail for the Tom Salamino approach.
Just sketch it out.
Gravel.
You got a stamp?
I got a stamp on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
wait,
you
it's chemical.
Okay.
All right,
and
got it.
now, these are all together, so pardon me if I screw this up, but we have, Newfield's
Correct.
construction advance. So, and there's so many paper clips here, at least.
Now they give backup, I have to say that.
Yeah. So this is 3 copies of the exact same thing.
It is.
So the
We'll
first,
just do
no,
one thing. Do one copy.
This is when you need Rocco, what line?
no, I just
No.
wanted them because we have 2 of them and I want to make sure I get them in order. Okay,
So
That's
their invoice,
application 2,
the invoice is that.
Newfield,
Okay.
and this is Allstate.
but we had 2 for Newfield. Okay. We don't-
Newfield's current
No.
payment due for Newfield is 20,000, 388.
388.50.
Make a
So-
motion, we pay.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I
Anybody
abstain.
opposed?
there you go.
Good going.
You know,
Yeah,
technically, he doesn't have to abstain.
Yeah, he does.
Technically,
It works for them.
well, but not in, it has no effect on the billing.
He's got to.
Yeah, the guy who signed the bills is my boss. I'd prefer to abstain if you
Oh,
don't mind.
okay, well, that's good to know.
All right.
Okay, the next one is Allstate. This is, application number 2 for $170,376.80.
What percent complete is that?
And
The
that-
last page. Yeah, no.
Yep.
I understand that. Okay. Okay, yeah, they're fine. What do you call it? Newfield is at 13.43% and
These guys are 1291.
correct. So
So
both are
they're
13.
both around
13.
which seems reasonable.
Yep.
Do we,
All right, now we need a motion then to pay $170,376.80 to Allstate Construction.
I'll make a motion to pay it.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
There you go.
And our boy Rocco. Okay. I think that's all. Oh, no. Yeah, that is.
I think
That's all we have for this, and now we have,
Oh,
Who's this for? Who's it for? though?
this was attached to this.
well, I can explain
It's fine.
those.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it. We're all
Yeah,
This is one we already approved. right?
we've already approved it. You had asked for the AAA
Right,
cover
right,
sheet.
right,
So
right,
this is
right.
more of a formality. Yeah, those
So
two.
we
You
don't
and I
even
can
need a
work it
motion.
out later if you want to sign them.
Yeah, I'll sign it. We don't even need a motion.
No,
We
you already did that,
Yeah,
yes.
that's
Yeah.
That's what I thought. All right, then the, next item on the agenda is the high school slab moisture review update. Did I zone out and not go to a meeting?
No, what happened is,
No, I relieved you of your duty. You didn't have to go.
No, but we're gonna go do a tour of the slab see what the hell is there?
I'm going tomorrow.
Well, we had to get the
Oh,
budget
I'll go
first.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
We gotta
9:30.
get the budget first. You got the budget.
Yes, the
approved.
budget got approved for $15,000.
It did,
You know, we're
right.
pulling
Investigation.
drawings and stuff.
Doug actually has some original, we looked through all of the scan drawings and then the ones that Doug had sent us from 2013. They don't have a lot of detail in the courtyards, which everyone's thinking is the source or
Yeah.
contributing factor.
And I have a itemization of all of the water bills from the Kensington.
Oh, you got that? Oh, okay,
Last 3 years, so we can see what
Okay.
month, it's by month,
right,
so we can see what month there was usage. And there are fluctuations, believe it or not, that are significant,
right. So
but no pattern. I didn't see.
updates are, I want to go see what's going on.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'm scheduled to go into, because tomorrow's a Berlin Share, the school, the kids aren't in school.
Right.
So I figured it's a great day to go in. I wanted to get it done early, but
They
I only
did.
had,
They had the whole day for half.
I think the whole
Yeah, Whole
day.
day, half a day.
Yeah,
Whole day tomorrow.
yeah.
So two things on that I was thinking about is one is get someone to scope the drains, see if we can
Well-
bust the drain.
Doug actually can chime in on what, I didn't realize he had something planned
Okay, good.
for that through his budget, which saves our 15.
Yep.
I confirm that with, and Doug, you wanted to explain what you're doing, that way we can, get it on the table.
Sure, yes, good evening. We're gonna try to look at the drains as a maintenance component, just to video them, chat them out if we need to, just to have that on record. What appears to be the issue is that whole perimeter from the 1950s, it's just a moisture issue that slab on grade that comes up in various spots of that perimeter. So some of the recommendations that came up earlier was to kind of encapsulate that, use a different tile, and what seems to be the contributing factor is the bio-based product with the green glue and adhesive is reacting more to the moisture than if it were to be a higher VOC component. So the lead building, the low VOC product seems to be reacting more with the moisture. So it doesn't seem to be necessarily a drainage issue. It just seems to be the moisture within the slab on grade that's reacting to the product that was spec'd out for the lead green building, you know?
Yeah. Two things I like to do is, once you finish the mapping out of all the drains and get that established, see if we have any breaks in any of those lines. And if we have to fix them, we'll dig it up and fix them. And then two would be, does anyone have a sonophone that they go out and check?
Listen for the leak.
Yeah, exactly. So if we know the area, go ahead. I'm sorry, Doug.
No, so I'm just saying that the condition of the tile varies from north at a different elevation up by Patterson Way all the way down to the south elevation at the mechanical room and spreads east to west. So it varies from elevation. It's very inconsistent the way the moisture is reacting with the tile. So it's hard to pinpoint it to one location or one issue with drainage. So it's very puzzling. Other than what everybody that's been out there to date, all they can recommend is that the type of tile, the skim coat that would encapsulate the concrete, the way the mastic of the VCT would react to that, it all seems to be a contributing factor based on just the slab on grade condition, not necessarily an under slab condition, but certainly we want to vet that out. But it's very sporadic throughout that entire perimeter of the original part of the building.
With the scoping or the cammering of the drains that you have to do we need to do any GPR along the perimeter of the courtyard to make sure that you know what's crossing the envelope outside? So you run a transect along each of the walls to see what crosses the boundary outside, from inside the courtyard to outside, or do we have a good sense of what's in there for piping right now? Do we know what's crossing it? Am I making myself clear?
Yeah, I don't personally know. So that's what we want. We want to have a baseline to provide back to the commission is what's existing conditions for materials. What was, what we found with a lot of the project, we've had some backups where, they go from an old cast to a new PVC. Is that the same conditions out in the courtyard? So we're trying to video that to start as a baseline, make sure that the drains aren't clogged up, restricted. Are they deteriorating? Is there other components?
Doug, that's part of my concern is, when we did the addition, I know we put additions on in different areas. And I don't know if any of the drain pipes could have got dug through or broken at that point at the outside foundation level. And, it's just something that's backing up. So I think by you scoping it out, we'll at least eliminate that or find that there's a problem there. Two, if there's a broken water line in there somewhere, a sonophone would pick that up. And then if we find those both negative, I think the next thing I'd like to do is actually cut through the slab, dig through and see what the water table's like underneath that building. You know what I mean?
We have discovered, as to your point, and it's great reference, that the Board of Ed monitors those water bills with the district. The high school is under Worthington Fire District, so when they do see a spike in service, they'll alert us. And we have found in the past, over the last several years, that we've had a few leaks within the tunnel undiscovered because it's not visible. They would alert us. We would do further investigation, find that. So there has been some issues over the last decade at the inception of the renovation where we found some leaks, but nothing current that's visible or that we know of with a spike in cubic feet usage of domestic water.
Yeah. And again, the only other thing I would say is once we eliminate, we'll start eliminating one at a time. And then if it comes back to where it's just a high water table issue, for whatever reason, we drop a sump in, you know what I mean, and lower the water table. That's the quickest way out of it. And again, I don't know if getting back to the glue issue, you raise a really good point on the glue issue, that it could be, you know, some bad glue. You know, we should look into that a little more.
Yeah, and if it is a glue issue, I mean, if it's that sporadic, I mean, do you just redo, you know, treat one area, you know, treat a worst area, pick a room or whatever, and do it spot by spot, as opposed to if it's that inconsistent, just do a little, you know, do a little bit, do one area, see what happens.
Do we have a spec still on what was used for the job, and has anybody reached out to the manufacturer to ask them if they had this issue somewhere else? Or?
Sure, there's a spec somewhere. We have to find it.
I mean, if it's like a newer product.
Actually, you're right.
know?
We should actually know what the actually, Doug, do you actually have the details of what was
Right,
used?
I mean.
Yeah, we have that in the O&Ms, and that's what came up in the moisture report and then the IAQ study, was that it's a low VOC adhesive, the bio-based tile, low VOC, higher organic compound, which, as we all know, it doesn't take much to react with moisture. So that's seems to be the contributing factor.
Was it applied during the renovation of the high school or prior to?
Correct. During the Renovate is New project with the green building and the LEED certification, these products were required in order to meet that criteria, which is what's causing the problem, it seems to be.
So we had an approval by.
Well, it's you're on the right track, because let's see, but I mean, in those specifications and in the manufacturer's product data, they're going to say what percent of moisture is in the slab.
Right.
And if we exceeded that moisture, they're off the hook for it.
Right.
And so that's what we got to do. You know how to do those moisture samples in the slab. So we got to look into that and see. We got to do our due diligence on it.
Right.
We could always bring it back as a builder's risk claim.
Right.
That doesn't go away. That's for the lifetime of the building, and we can go back after that if we have to. But let's take care of all this stuff on our end that we can control. Let's check the drains. Let's check the water lines. Let's eliminate all that stuff. And then you're probably right, Doug. It's going to come back to that with the issue with the products that were used. And I think it goes back to the architect, and it goes back to the original design.
What came up as a recommendation was that dealing with these conditions to still meet the LEED criteria in the green building is that we may need to encapsulate the slab with a product that would more or less encapsulate that moisture and react better with the low VOC adhesive and tile that was spec'd out. So it's a lot of speculation certainly right now, but this is all preliminary what we've heard.
Yeah, it opens up a lot of questions. If it was changed from what was specified, you know, that was in the original specifications for that job, and then someone changed it to a different product, that's something we need to understand too. You know, because therein lies some issues, and it lets the architect off the hook, but then it puts the burden back on the subcontractor. And again, it'll go back to the builder's risk. So I think we really need to dot all our I's and cross all our T's. I think you could be right at the end of the day. It could be that issue, but it may not be on our dime. So we really got to do all our homework and make sure we got everything nailed, and make sure we don't have a high groundwater issue that no matter what product we use, it's going to happen again. Right. So I think we're on the right track. I think it's going to take us a little time to run it down.
Yeah.
But I think, again, do what you have to do for drain maintenance. Let's see what that yields. You're right, spot on target with the water company. And I think the next thing is we get a sonophone in there, make sure there's no broken pipes, and maybe go to even what Tom says, to the extent of bringing in some GPR and do some GPR testing on it. Yeah, it could be an insurance claim.
But, and also Doug let me know that he has original drawings from the seventies that we didn't find, they haven't been scanned by us.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you guys was, this SPA was the, they took, I think they returned all the drawings to Doug. Did they scan all those drawings?
Yeah, they had the originals they used to put the design
Right,
together for the new
right.
design, so they had them all.
Yeah.
They have them electronically, I guarantee you too.
So-
They destroyed them.
Considering what happened, would you be reluctant for me to reach out to them and ask them for the scans?
I would,
It's a little too early.
what I want more than anything is
Okay.
what was the specifications for that.
Right.
We gotta have a spec book around here somewhere. Get the spec book on it, see what was specified, and then we gotta pull the product at it and see what
Yeah.
was installed.
But I'm looking at the existing all the original utilities that are in the courtyards, because it's right now, there seems to be a lack of, like, especially the larger one.
Call them and see if they have the old 1950s shrines. 'Cause
Well,
they had to use them.
yeah, well, Doug's gonna be dropping, he's gonna go through and take a look at the old drawings that they returned to him. But I'm knowing how engineering firms work, and they scanned them in, absolutely scanned them.
Yeah, they had to.
So instead of us,
There was some, Dave Stein and I have had some correspondence related to this matter, so it's
okay.
it's been dead ended at this point, but we have they have been responsive and it's been
Okay.
tabled to this point. But they have acknowledged it and acknowledged willing to work with us on this. So
Okay, all right. So I'll just hold back.
No, I think right now, let's exhaust the few things we have to do. Let's get those behind us, and then we move further into more investigation.
Yeah.
Is there any testing we could do on that stuff?
I would do it, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, Tom, if you're gonna join tomorrow, I'll let you know
Yeah,
where we're
what-
gonna
what
meet.
time?
9:30, it's gonna be at the high school.
It is gonna be.
So why don't we put it in our meeting minutes? Let's start a section for the high school now. We got some funding for it. Let's start it, and let's at least list in our meeting minutes of what we're doing.
Oh, yeah, I think it is an item, it is an item, so
So
yeah.
it's on.
So what you're saying is, proposed actions kind of thing?
In the interim, I think, what we should do is get a hold of Gilbane too.
Oh, on this?
Where's all the electronic, I
Yeah,
got that all.
just as an FYI to say, we're looking into this. See what they say.
Well, they're all gonna deny anything.
Oh, I know, I
We
just, but
gotta
as a
dig through it,
courtesy
yeah.
to say, hey, we're looking at this, maybe they have something.
Have you talked to Gilbane at all, Doug, or is it just SPA?
just SPA, Gilbane, since Tom retired and after his post-retirement, we pretty much salvaged everything from their office, brought it over to the Public Works vault, and we haven't been in contact with them since. They were paid out for their closeout as far as the audit. They're willing to come back on board if we need them, but basically they signed off, gave us everything they had from their office. It's all in the Public Works vault. So we can sort through it from there, or if we want to try to re-engage them.
No, you were thinking more of a, by the way, this is happening,
Yeah,
notification, not
yeah.
we need your specs, because we
Right,
have all
right.
that, yeah.
Just a-
So do you want me or Doug or someone to do that? Or
I think we need to.
Yeah.
at this point?
They need to tell them we may have a glue issue in the building,
Okay,
we're not sure yet, but we're gonna look into
so
it.
Tom Smith retired, so who would it be?
John Hawley's the head
John,
of that office over there.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
They send me a Christmas email every year, so you can reply to that and say, oh, by the way.
You'll be getting it.
I don't get that.
Okay,
I have no idea why.
So,
Actually, it's from Tom.
do you want me to send them anything, like the previous reports of the 96% relative humidity that they found in almost every slab, like, monitoring they did?
Well, I think really what we have to do is look at the product data. The slab, if there's water under that slab, that's our issue, we gotta deal with it.
Yeah.
But if we come down to it's a product issue, then we have to
Right.
go back after that. And I don't know who their builder's risk insurance was with, but we may have to notify them. Then you'll see experts come out of the woodwork.
Right.
Okay, do you then
Berlin, where's
want,
Berlin?
do you want me to send an email to him? I could run the email by you guys first, if you want.
They just say, hey, John, we're having a problem with, we
Okay,
believe there could be or could not be,
Mhm.
vaguely worded, an issue with the glue, the glue that was used on the project. and we have some molding issues.
Okay,
We want to make you aware of it. That's all you have to say.
okay. All right,
You tell me you have a walkthrough if you want to show up with us.
well, I think it's.
Too late for that.
Well, it's just really, for
Get
me,
it for the
I'd like
next
to know
one.
what's in the courtyards. I've never been in the courtyards. I don't know what the drains look like, how many drains there are, where the water valves are, and I know there's water for the greenhouse courtyard, so this is irrigation. I don't know what's in. Hey, are there water lines dug in the other courtyard? This is what they call the senior courtyard?
Senior car is just outdoor silcox. There's no, I don't believe there's irrigation out there. I'd have to confirm that with the grounds department. I don't believe so. Just silcox, interior perimeter.
How does, by the way, how does it drain? Since they're completely surrounded by building, how do those courtyards drain? Do they have drain lines going underneath the building?
That's what I remember. Yeah, from what I saw from what I could find, is it goes out and scatters to the perimeter of the buildings.
Right, so we have drain lines
Evaporation.
going under, which is what you're talking about, where those things are
crossing
crossing the building.
From inside the
Right,
dooryard out.
right.
Just to make sure that we know everything that crosses it.
Right,
Everything that goes through.
yeah.
So a lot of
I
that,
guess-
a lot of that is evaporation, as you referenced. There is a little bit of drainage, but a lot of it is just natural evaporation and soaking into the soil.
Clay.
Yeah, and then it goes under the slab, and it goes like that, and you get 96% in the slab. Okay, okay.
All right, new business? Hearing none. Old business? High school closeout status? I guess we gotta leave that on there. Motion to
Adjourn.
second.
No, we want to keep going.
Oh, hey, if they want to stay, I'll second it.
I make a motion, we end this meeting now.
You can pick any one of us to second.
Better than a high school one,
We're done.
along those point.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rocco.
Right.